Hey guys, how is everybody tonight? What we got? There's Andy, Doug, John, Merlin. Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for joining the stream tonight. Doug said he was Gwen Stefani. Okay. I don't know. You think Gwen wants to play some Overpower? We'll invite her on. Hey Andrew, the goof. Glad you guys could make it tonight. As you can see by my empty chair beside me, Stefan's having a little technical difficulties getting here. Where'd you get the shirt? Ain't that awesome? I made it. I sent it to LRG and I said, if you'd like to do these print on demand, let me know. I have not heard back. I really like it. We made 4 total, one for me, one for Corey, one for Jessica, and one for Nor. Nor got the Tarzan. I don't remember if it was avoid one attack or only Tarzan and target character may play any cards. Corey got the offensive negate from Sherlock Holmes, and of course Jessica got EFL. I'd kind of like to see him do a whole lot of the shirts, but we shall see. Dark Clown says, I want the guys Wukong Rainbow Foil, but $350 starting bid seems a bit high. I will not be bidding on any of them. The only one I don't have is the Zorro, and that's really weird. Where's he got him auctioned at? Has he got him on eBay or just Discord? Somebody told me he was going to do a silent auction in Discord or something. Yeah, well, we'll see if he sells them. I don't know. Somebody told me he had an opening bid of $150 on the Count of Monte Cristo, but we shall see. Oh, on Discord. Okay. I don't know why he would just put them on Discord, but good luck to him. We'll see what they do. $350 for Sun Wukong. Wow. Did he put them all up or just those 2? I guess I'll have to go back and look on Discord, although I will not be bidding on those. Yeah. I don't know. There's some crazy collectors out there. they may bid that up. I don't know, but that's fine. I think $350 is a lot for an opening bid, but there's just not that many out there. Doug says I should have a Burger King Arthur shirt made. I don't know if that would look so good because they're in landscape and not portrait, but I might look in. I don't want to. No, I don't want to. Let's see what else we got. Josh, how are you, buddy? Can't wait to hear about this topic. I got a bunch of topics today. I hope Stefan gets out of traffic. He's stuck there right now. I don't know how far away he is, but he did not get too close. Hopefully he'll come on in. Yeah, he put them all up. Also, John Carter and Jane and Zorro starting at $350. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. John said he put them on Discord to guarantee old dudes like me will never see them. I will probably never see them on there either. I didn't even know you could run auctions on Discord, but what do I know? Traveling Goof says it might have been a good opportunity to use Cody's OP Marketplace. I haven't even looked at that yet either. Hey Jalen, how are you? Is anybody on that marketplace? I'm not sure. I'm going to chit chat with you guys for a little while and see if Stefan kind of makes it in, because there's a lot that I want to go over tonight. bounce it off of him and all of you here. Never. What's the deal with rainbow foils? Did I miss something? Merlin, you did. There's a lot. No, not a lot. There are a few foil stacks that have different foiling on them that actually, in my opinion and some other people, look a whole lot better than the foil stacks that we all seem to have. We call them rainbow foils. That is the terminology that Tyler called them when he saw them, so that's what I went with. They look beautiful, a lot shinier, more 3D, and they're very, very hard to get. Most people check their stacks and say, I don't have any. Hey Ben, how are you? I have a handful. I don't know where they came from. I don't know when I got them. I just went back through them later and found them. Nor went back through his, and he found a Sun Wukong. Out of all the foil stacks he had, it was the only one that was a rainbow foil. That being said, though, he did sell a bunch of them to Larry at the OP Cup last year, so he may have even sold some and not known it. Hey, Nor, how are you, buddy? I was hoping you'd come by the store today so we could open some boxes of something. Andrew says, some guy pulled a bunch and is auctioning them off at a very high starting price, and it's on Discord. We shall see. I mean, if they don't sell, he can always relist, start an auction, lower the price, right? So, we'll see. John says, I didn't know Cody added a separate marketplace. I need to pay more attention to the internet. I think you might be good, John. Can my rainbow Wukong identify as a female and gain the bonus from EFL? That's a great question. I wasn't aware there was a thing. I guess I should check my foils. Oh my gosh, Merlin, where have you been? We've talked about this intently. I had them in the showcase during the Nats. Didn't you even look in my showcases? It's very obvious when you compare them side by side that the rainbow foils are different. How much of a premium will they command? Who knows? Most people don't even know that they exist, and they don't seem to care too much about them. But I've got a feeling if you have them in your collection, you would pull them out and keep them separate because they just look so much better. Andy says they may have been an accident, but I hope they do a rainbow foil treatment in the future. I totally agree. Hey, Lawrence, how are you? John says, I don't think I've opened any more than 4 boxes and mini drafts. I've only seen yours online, Doug. Yeah, that's all a lot of people have seen. They've seen them in person if they were here at the Nats. They've seen them online, but nobody seems to have any. The Goof says the LRG folks aren't aware of rainbow foils either, so it truly appears to be some mistake from the printers. Yeah, I think LRG's kind of missing an opportunity there. They should be making an announcement. We've seen them. We don't know what happened. We don't know how many there are. They seem to be kind of hard to get. And try and drum up a little bit of a fever for people to want to go out and find some. And Josh says, just checked. All of mine are rainbows, including the ultra rare foils. That's funny. Hey, Keith, how are you? I have not seen any rainbows on the foil character cards, the rares, or on the ultra rares. So it seemed like it was probably a very small print run, a very small test run maybe at the beginning, and they fixed it and went to what we all mostly have. Goof says LRG is missing a ton of opportunities. Let's have them make an official announcement of Skybound's release date, let alone rainbow foils. Yeah, And we're kind of getting some mixed signals on the Skybound release date and this Kickstarter coming out before Skybound. Ron said on the stream last week, the Kickstarter will be out before Skybound. In the Kickstarter itself, it says August. I don't know what it all means. It's kind of funny. And the Goof says, having a random distributor's article isn't really an announcement. 100% agree with that. I don't understand why they don't put out a press release. It's really weird. Nora says, Zorro Rainbow is up for sale for $500. What? Has it been bid up to $500? Or is that his asking price? Somebody earlier said he was asking $350 starting price. Holy cow. We shall see. I mean, none of them's ever sold before, right? So this is the first. I am not selling mine no matter what kind of prices these go for. Just because someone asks for a price doesn't mean it'll go for that for sure. He can ask anything he wants. Hey John, how are you? Even more important is we're out now that distributor pre-orders are going. Yes, I believe all of the distributors have them up, although Universal, formerly known as Alliance, I have not seen them on there yet, but I'm fairly certain they're going to be carrying it. And thank you to everyone who has already pre-ordered with us. You guys are definitely fanatical about this. I just can't believe how many people are willing to put money up this far in advance. You don't have to. I'm going to have plenty of product. But if that's what you want to do, go for it. That's one of the things that I wanted to discuss tonight with Stefan, so hopefully he'll show up and we'll continue on that one. But I really think that the market price is going to be right around $150 a box. Go into your local store, ask them if they'll bring it in for you. Offer to put your money up front if that's what it takes. You got to get those local stores to carry the product. I don't mind selling it to you guys, but I really want to get more local stores to carry it. So that's my goal. And nobody has bid on any of them, but to be fair, they just went up. Nor says, asking price, no chance it sells for anything near that. 500 is the starting price, so we'll see if that happens, says Andy. Doug, what if I offered $1 million? All right, you got me at least thinking about it, Doug. So, yeah, obviously at that price, we got to consider it, right? John says, before Skybound could just be a matter of days before or months later. You have to send them to Canada by post. Yeah, I'm wondering. I think they got a distributor up there this time. They're going to do it right, but it's kind of funny. We'll see how that works out. I got to make it. The Goof says, I got to make it out to my LGS and try to get them to pre-order, even if it isn't for more than just me. Right. You know, get them to buy 2 boxes for you. That would be a good start. Andy says, hey, I can always get more boxes later. Andy, I know you will get more boxes later. We're going to put together a release day weekend here in Columbus. I don't know what LRG has planned. I have not heard anything, but we are going to, I want to talk with Stefan about it tonight. I think we're either going to do Heroes and Games on Friday and Flying Monkey on Saturday, or maybe Heroes and Games on Saturday and Flying Monkey on Sunday. So yes, Ben, we will be doing events during release weekend. A lot of events. We're going to get you guys to buy a lot of product. And John says, another trip to Columbus. Come on down, brother. We'll be waiting on you. Andy says, hey, don't call me out like that. Andy, sorry, buddy. That's just the way it is. We're all going to open a lot of product of Invincible. Unfortunately, not as much as we would have if there were foil stacks in there. But there will be a lot a pack opening in Columbus, and it's going to go for at least that weekend. I'm sure Stefan would like to have us all over to his store too. Goof said that will be a ton of fun, and seeing those release events up on Top Deck will be great. Right now, that's another thing LRG is in advertising. That's on the list tonight too, Goof. John says Pandemonium will certainly have some for release. I'm hoping to run a pre-release. Need to talk to Joe and Ron. Yeah, I don't know. I can't believe they haven't put any information out about a pre-release. If they do a pre-release, I will work that out with Stefan, not to have it on the same day. So instead of having a release event, we will have 2 different pre-release events. Joe nor Ron has said anything about that, about what they want to do. Are they going to have some organized pre-release event? I don't know. I hope so. I would rather have a pre-release event than a release weekend. But you know, right now a lot of games are doing release events, so it might work out okay. Either way, we're going to open a lot of product, right? I will see how early they will let me live stream a box opening. Some games will not let you do it before the release day. Some kind of let you have like 24 hours before. So we shall see. John says, I was waiting for the distributor solicit to start soliciting stores for local IP or OP events. I got some visits to make. Yep, there's a lot of it out there now. And Doug Taylor says what I was thinking. They aren't doing any official, quote unquote, pre-release events. If they're not official, then technically you can't do them, right? Because we can't run events with product before release day unless it is an official pre-release. I can't imagine Joe saying, go ahead and run pre-release events. They're just not going to be official. Does that mean there's no official price support? I'm not sure. I have been texting James, who's head of organized play, today so that we can get something up tonight about the June regional that we will be hosting. Oh, John, don't tempt me. John says, okay, everyone, hands up if you'd watch a midnight box opening. I'll do it. I'll do it if that's what it takes. Keith, first one with his hand up. Goof says, just do release events. Doesn't need to be a pre-release. It's still the same fun. Right. I agree, Goof. Union Arena only runs release events. No, they do pre-release events. They call them release events, but we get the product a week early. So it's a lot of fun. Guys will show up. John says, Pandemonium won't break street days. It would have to be official. Right. We won't either. John says, I'm always up at midnight. We don't break street dates for anything. We did do a live break for something once but we had permission to do it 24 hours in advance. I think that might have been from Bandai to do a Dragon Ball opening or something. I can't remember. But we won't do it any earlier than what LRG lets us do. That's just the way it has to be, right? You got to honor those dates. There are some stores that break them all the time, and I don't know how they get away with it. I don't know why they get away with it. I don't know why they would risk it. But there's a lot going to be in that Invincible set that we all want to see. So we will do something, whether it's a pre-release event with a live stream box opening or a midnight box opening. I don't know. I wonder if I can get Jessica and Nora to do that with me at midnight. I know Nora would. I'm not sure about Jessica. She doesn't like to stay up that late. But we're going to be scheduling out a lot of the summer events that we're going to be hosting here at Heroes and Games. It's going to be real soon. We'll get them on Top Deck. I think, I sure hope, James is going to get the Columbus Regional on Top Deck today. I hope so. Hey, Ricky, how are you? Catching up? You're watching on 2.5 times speed, double speed, something like that. I think James is going to get us on Top Deck tonight. We need to make an announcement about some of the price support. We're going to actually give away some Invincible product at the regional that won't be given out until the release. Does that make sense? So you'll win an Invincible booster box or whatever, but you won't be able to get it until the product is officially released, and we'll mail it out to you. That kind of stuff. I really don't see any reason to give out any more ERB booster packs or boxes, right? Yeah, John, Raven, IOUs. It'll be something that you know you're going to get, and you're going to get it in August. It's not like the uncut sheets that we couldn't promise because we never knew when they were going to come in. Which reminds me. Yeah, I got a sheet here for Vlad that he won back at Origins last year. He needs to come in and get that. Vlad, if you're watching today, come on in, pick up your sheet. It's sitting back here right beside Ray's uncut ultra rare foil sheet. All right, guys, we are 22 minutes into the stream. We haven't even mentioned what is probably the biggest thing we're going to discuss tonight. Merlin says, has everyone received their final stuff from the Kickstarter? No, but I think everybody has received a tracking number now. Josh got a tracking number last week. So there, Lawrence said he got his sheet. A big stack of 20 of them. Yeah, there's a lot. They gave out a lot of uncut sheets. It's interesting. Lawrence didn't get his foil any characters. The essentials, because I didn't get my essentials either. And they were supposed to send those out to me. Lawrence, you need to reach out to LRG and let them know that you didn't get those. I got a tracking number from LRG last week, and the package is coming tomorrow. I thought it was going to be the essentials, but it says it's another uncut sheet. I hope it's the essentials. Ben says his is pending shipment. You haven't got them yet, huh? Wow. And Merlin says, just wondering because I was told by Letty 2 weeks ago they were sending them, but I haven't heard. Wow. Andrew's missing his foil any characters also. Oh, no. I just assumed when I didn't get mine it was a one-off thing. Wow, they left them out of a lot of people's shipments, huh? That's crazy. Andrew, Lawrence, when did you get your shipments? Did you just get them last week or the week before? Or was this a long time ago? Like maybe when Larry got his? I wonder if Larry got his and he probably didn't get his and doesn't know that he was supposed to have them, maybe. Wow. So they got to send out a lot of essentials. No wonder those essentials are selling online for so much, right? Half of us didn't get them. That's not good. I'm going to send a text to Stefan real quick and see how it's going. And see if maybe he's going to show up. I hate to get into this topic without him. I hate to get into any of these topics without him tonight because we had a lot going on tonight. Lawrence says they delivered mine to Justin's by accident a couple weeks ago, so I just got them from him yesterday. That's crazy. Well, Stefan is stuck in traffic. He just replied back he is not going to make it tonight. So it looks like you guys are stuck with me for the whole show, which means it won't be a 3-hour episode like it probably would have been if Stefan was here. All right. He had a lot he wanted to say too. Let's get into this. Let me pull up my notes. As the title of the episode clearly states, Anubis is now your new daddy. He is the new rolling is kind of crazy. There's a lot going on with it, a lot that I don't like and nothing that I do like. I think the rolling is wrong. It complicates the game. I think it's pretty clear that you can't make an attack against a character that you cannot target. Anything that takes a 5-page explanation is a little on the ridiculous side. Even Tyler's 3-page explanation about what a chain attack is. Honestly, I didn't read either one of them. I don't plan to read either one of them. The rolling is what it is. It just, yeah, I agree, Merlin. It is aggravating. NAOL is ignoring it, though, but that's another issue, right? NAOL says, okay, Lazarus, we're going to go by your rules until we get one that we don't like, and then we're going to ignore that one. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that is something they should do. We're either going to adopt, the NAL is either going to adopt all of the Lazarus rules or none of them. It's kind of hard to be an all or nothing, but man, Doug Taylor, what are you going to do? You're going to run back-to-back events on the same weekend with 2 different rules. To me, that's mind-boggling. You're going to be using the same cards because both of your events are modern. And you're going to say, well, today, Saturday, Anubis goes through your fairy protection. And then on Sunday, you're going to come in. Oh, just a reminder, guys, Anubis does not go through fairy protection today. That just sets a precedent that I don't like. And I just, it drives me nuts. I understand how the NAOL hates the rolling and want to make it right, but at the same time, it just kind of muddies the water even more, right? Now you got to remember what event you're playing in to know what the rules are. I know Yu-Gi-Oh has a format, I forget what they call it, where they play with all the old cards, nothing's banned. But they still have the same rules as the modern game. And I just don't understand what this is accomplishing. I don't like that Dave made an in passing ruling on Facebook. That was totally unprofessional. Should not have been. He should have said, let me look into this and get back to you. But it sounds like this is the way I'm going to rule it. That was wrong. Aggravating to no end. And then it just never got any better. Let me read some of these comments here. Andy says, honestly, there were some pretty wild things in NAOL multiple page explanation too. Really? Andy, I didn't read it, buddy. Maybe you can fill me in later. John says, I think Dave's ruling is correct, but I want it changed because the game is complicated enough already. Chris, how are you? I was hoping it would have been 6 pages. Way too many words. John, I don't think his ruling is correct. And if it is correct by the way that the rules are written, then the rules are written incorrectly. You can't attack a character that you can't target. That's basically the way it seems to me. Not my game. I don't get to make the rules. I don't get to interpret the rules. I just get to play by them. That's the way I'm looking at it. It doesn't mean I'm happy about it. Traveling Goof says, I still hold to the fact that nearly nothing changed. Only Lord of the Sacred Land changed and ends immediately cards changed. Not teamworks, not follow-up attacks, not Professor X card, nada. But it does kind of affect Deja's card, right? Because now immediately doesn't mean immediately. And the cards do what they say. Words matter. This is kind of the mantra that LRG has always gone by. And then they make a ruling that doesn't. Holy cow, you guys really like this? Oh my gosh. All right. Ty was alluding to more rules on a discussion about Lord of the Jungle interacting with the Korak shift, and that it had me a bit worried too. Josh says, I've given up on trying to understand the game anymore. Josh, don't give up, but I understand your frustration, and I know what you mean. I hope you make it to Columbus, by the way, in June. That'd be great to see you again. Keith says, frankly, I think it's complicated either way. We found a small problem with the game. Simple as that. It happens. Good point. But then we complicated it more instead of solving it, in my opinion. Merlin says, how's this? If a secondary effect grants an additional attack, the attack subject to all normal limitations that would normally apply. Okay, that's a whole lot better. Trim it down a little bit more. I mean, these statements, these rules, the explanations of the rules have to be almost written in lawyer speak, where everyone understands what's being said in clear and concise language. Lawrence says, I would like only one set of rules for competitions personally. Lawrence, I voted that way, but other people didn't agree with me. Doug Taylor says, except LRG is running theirs at one place and I run the NAOL at a different place. What? Doug, you're not having both your events at the same place? What's the name of that store out there that was so awesome? I'm sorry, right now I can't remember it. Andrew says, I doubt we will see a ton of it. I agree. It's not like the end of the world, like some people are saying. Who plays Anubis anyways? Oh, maybe me. James says, does NAOL lose price support for going against their ruling? No. LRG doesn't really care what NAOL does. And that's the way it should be. They really shouldn't care so much. Goof says, Anubis should have just been errated to avoid it, though. That might have been a whole lot easier than writing a 5-page explanation. Sawyer says, I figure Dave has been saying that this rule impacts cards that are already in production, so I'm curious what effects are planned that makes this seem reasonable. John says, my rule would be lockout means can't target, so any character can't target. I'm opposed to 2 different rule sets for different formats. I'll run the rules we need to use, but I want just one rule set. Yep, John and I were the 2 NAOL voters that voted against adopting a change to the NAOL rules to not accept the LRG rules. Andy says, I think the thing that most concerns me about the existing ruling is that it isn't just a ruling, it's a completely different framework for resolving combat. Andrew says, I doubt we will see a ton of Anubis with fresh Invincible cards out. Maybe, but maybe somebody there's going to make Anubis a little bit better. Doug says, no. Whoops, it jumped on me. Sorry. We didn't lose their price support. Right. NAOL was very upfront with LRG, and they understand. Andy says, but on the plus side, if there were issues with new cards, at least the NAOL framework can be re-evaluated. James says, that's good to hear. I think he means about losing price support, right? Key says, I think we need an Anubis on the frontline event. Anubis Palooza. Hey, you guys did it for me with Henry Pym. We had a Henry Pym Palooza. Why not an Anubis Palooza? Raven says, bingo. Dave keeps saying current rolling, and he mentioned the new rule in development, so I'm holding my tongue until then. A new rule book? What? There's going to be another new rule book? I never even got the one from 2025. That didn't come with my uncut sheets either, by the way. I don't know about the rest of you guys. Chris says, I agree. I don't think it should go through. It is easier to keep the same rules. Doug says, whoops. Why does it jump like this? It could also affect legacy cards we haven't even realized yet. Cards that aren't being played right now. Yep. Does a Zorro attack go through fairy protection? No. Don't ask me why. John says it affects multiple cards in Legacy as well. It's not just one card. Chris says it is nowhere near as complicated as Magic the Gathering. Yeah, that may be, but it's still more complicated than it needs to be, right? And he says, I do think that the Deja card is problematic. It's an effect that needs a ton of supporting rules text in Magic just to work the way people expect it to. The turn ends now is a really messy effect in implementation. Sawyer says, I don't want to be a paralegal, but this game is trying to make me one. Oh, maybe. John says, I play Anubis, but not for that card. Weighing of the Heart. Yep. Doug says, no, LRG at Seattle Convention Center. LRG at Seattle Convention Center. NAOL at Zulu's, 16 miles north of that. Are they at PAX? They're going to be at PAX West. Is that why that is? Patty Crypto, how are you, buddy? Easy errata. Add ignoring normal follow-up requirements and special cards in play to the Anubis card. Chris said, I should have voted with you. I can see the rolling going either way, but I think fairy protection should stop all attacks. Andy says, Patty Crypto, yeah, I think LRG needs to embrace Oracle text at some point like Magic has. And Patty Crypto says, 100% times 3. Goose says, but there were easier fixes. Errata, Anubis. Clarify, change, ends immediately. Wait for rules 2.0. But then again, I'd prefer more actual announcements from LRG over talk on this. Yes. And Goof says, yep, Patty, that'd do it. Ricky says, about caught up. Ricky says, ban the Anubis. And Doug says, yes, they are at PAX West. So, it looks like, going through the chat, most people aren't. James is going to fire up the laser to do a ban Anubis. Most people agree it overcomplicates things, right? We're not going for the easiest solution. And that's what kind of drives me crazy. Josh says, have we found anyone yet that likes it? You mean besides Dave? I wonder if Dave even likes it. I think he agrees with his rolling, obviously. But I wonder if he likes it and he wants to fix it or change it. I think Steve Costa said, I agree with Dave's rolling, but I don't like it. I just flat out don't like it. I don't agree with it. Goof says, I just don't think it makes any difference. It only changes one card, so it's basically irrelevant, but it could have been done better. So you don't think it affects Deja's card that says turn ends immediately, so therefore Anubis would not be able to go get that power card and play it? Andy says, yeah, I know Dave didn't expect this interaction. I don't think he likes it either. And Goof says, ends immediately cards are weird, though. In what way, Goof? It's not like they're saying the hand ends immediately. It just means your turn. Ricky, stop it. Ricky says, I don't not disagree with it. Okay. So double negative means you disagree with it. Andy says, I think the turn in immediately definitely opens up a new can of worms because it impacts putting any secondary effects on an attack. Merlin says, if a turn ends immediately, then the turn should end immediately. Playing additional cards does not constitute ending one's turn. Exactly. Let's make the cards do what they say. And you know what's even kind of funnier is ERB's been out a year, and this is just now coming up from somebody who I think has never even played in an official event. Somebody who's not a competitive player found this and said, hey, how's this work? And we're all like, holy cow, how did we miss it all this time? So I think that's kind of funny. John says, avoid and lockout should have a rule that says it stops everything unless the card has specific text like pinpoint laser from Dazzler. Agreed. Traveling Goose says that's slightly separate. There's the lockout issue, which only Anubis actually gets through a lockout. The ends immediately rolling does not affect the conditional clauses is weird. The ends immediately rolling not affecting conditional clauses is weird. Okay. And he says, I raised a question about NAOL's interpretation of turn ends immediately, RE, the Heroes for Hire 11, and that one got a response of not sure for the moment. You know what? I actually like that answer better than a in passing ruling that may or may not stand. So a non-committal response is the best response. Josh says, question for everyone. If you use Deja's card to defend the Leonidas 6, that if defended gets shuffled back to the deck, does it? Yeah, I don't think shuffling your deck would be affected. You would still shuffle it back into the deck because you have to put that card in one of the stacks anyway. Goose says, but you can write the rule so that ends immediately overrules that conditional clause. Then the problem is solved. Hey, Goof, we're kind of agreeing with each other. I think it's just worded very poorly. And they had a chance to fix some things, and they went the opposite direction, in my opinion. Josh, Andy says, my personal take has been yes, that's an automatic effect of an unsuccessful attack. Andrew says, the Deja thing came up because of Anubis 5, though. Right. How does it take 6 pages of rules, which 60% don't like the outcome of, to fix? You're being kind of generous that 40% of people like the answer, right? Like the outcome. I think it's probably closer to less than 10%. Ricky says, we didn't think we missed it. We just knew what it should be, says Ricky. Yeah, I think that's probably more like it. Josh says, my point with the Leonidas Deja interaction is the fact that we can't conclusively answer it. Highlights the complexity issue with turn immediately ends not being defined that well. I understand what you're saying, Josh, but I think the basic rules of the game also kind of would come in there to tell you you have to put it somewhere, right? Just because your turn ended doesn't mean you don't discard it to the proper pile, or in this case, shuffle it into the deck. And he says, current NOL ruling, I believe, is that Leo 6 would not shuffle because the turn ended immediately stops execution of that effect. I guess it would go to dead pile as if negated. Oh, Andy, please, you're giving me a headache if that's the way they're going to rule. I'm surprised Howard's not here for this. John says a Leonidas card is still a conditional effect. All conditional effects should resolve the same way. I haven't talked to anyone who's happy about the resolution. Josh says, but like I said, I'm not going to try to understand how any of this works anymore. And the Goof says, based on Dave's ruling, you'd shuffle Leonidas card back in. If you want ends immediately to end immediately, Protector of Barsoom would kill the shuffle too, just like it would Anubis. Interesting, Goof. I kind of disagree with that, but Andy says the example NOL gave was the Goblin 3 intelligence that discards a card when defended. The ruling says it would not discard a card if Deja avoided. Holy cow, are you kidding me? John says, I believe Andy is correct on the Leonidas card. It would not shuffle because your turn ends. They're both fine paths, just got to pick one and explain it out well, then go with it. I agree, Goof. Andy says, yeah, I'm personally fine with all immediately effects resolving the rest of the step as cleanup. You see how one ruling can affect so much. Josh says, my belief is when the turn immediately ends, you should freeze and hold your breath until your next turn. Yeah. Play red light, green light, right? You can only breathe if nobody's looking. Keith says, that's what I'm saying. It's complicated either way. Seems simple, but then you start pulling on threads and discovering other card interactions no matter how you rule it. Yeah, boy. It's kind of weird that in the ERB set, there isn't a whole lot of contradiction to it. But if you take in Overpower as a whole, it could lead to a whole lot. Ricky says, I wish we could just argue about social outcast again instead. A lot of guys in this chat don't know what you're talking about, Ricky. Giff says, currently anything conditional gets resolved even if you play ends immediately against it. To Leo shuffles, Anubis attacks, Moriarty gets mathematical genius. You defend it, your turn ends immediately, and you would still get the effect of mathematical genius. So I guess your turn wouldn't end immediately. John says the NOL ruling would be turn ends, no effects occur as dependent effects, just put in normal pile. And he says hopefully we don't see more effects like Deja's in the future. It sounds fun, but interpreting the flow of play like that always has consequences. Yep. Ricky Keith likes your comment. Andrew says, I disagree. I don't want Joan burst attacks to stay meta, Andy. Josh says, and for the record, yes, I would assume Leo's cards still get shuffled back into the deck. I just can't go by. I think that's how it works. I feel like I have to ask every time now. Guess which flagship character in the next set has the same card as Deja? Was there one? I don't remember. Andrew says, if defended against turn immediately ends, there has to be one winner and one card that doesn't work, unfortunately. Right. Either you get the effect of the defended card or your turn immediately ends. I would lean towards the defensive card rolling on that. Okay. Andrew says Omni-Man gets it. Nice. Omni-Man has the Deja Void. I don't know. In my mind, I always assume the defensive card takes precedence. But I'm not saying that that's right. That's just how it works in my head. Andrew says, avoid one attack. Opponent's turn immediately ends unless they're using Debbie. Goof says, that's how Dave's rolling works. Conditional effects apply in step F. Protector kills the turn after step F resolves. Any non-conditional follow-ups happen in step G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G? You got 7 steps? Oh my gosh. And Andy says, yeah, in this case, immediately really means after the current battle step. Sawyer says, I feel like turn ends immediately should shut down all optional actions. Anubis may attack. Moriarty may fetch Mathematical Genius. These are shut down. Leo, if defended, it gets shuffled in. No, may. I'm with you on Sawyer. That's the way I would read it. So the step G follow-ups don't happen, but conditional effects do. Welcome to the chat, Overpower Mountain. Good to see you, Marcel. And Andy says, Doug, that's not even counting the sub-steps. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? John says, even magic only has 5 layers. Sheesh. All right. I think the biggest issue here, and I don't know the resume of everyone at LRG. I don't know the resume of anyone at LRG. But I don't think they are game developers. I don't think any of them have a history of developing any game of any type, whether it's a card game, a board game, a dice game, whatever. They need to have somebody who's not just a player who really, really loves the game. They need to have a developer on staff who can say, hey, we're out of bounds here. We need to get the guidelines. This is how we're going to word things. This is how the games work. And it's not that easy to do. Not just anybody can be a game designer. So, to me, that is one of the biggest things that they're missing. They need somebody who has done this before successfully with another game, who's able to look at this game and say, here's a problem, here's a solution. 7 steps, and I didn't even count the sub-steps. What? To me, that's a little much. And it seems like a simple solution, but it's not, because of everything that each rolling then affects. All right, let's see. You guys are chatting so much, I'm falling behind. I've read the combat rules several times. Doug says, I'm writing my doctoral thesis on interpreting the steps of an overpowered battle. That would make a nice one. Josh says, I read the rules multiple times. The only thing I've concluded is that I'm too dumb to understand them. No, you're not too dumb to understand them. They are written too dumb for anyone to understand them. Keith says, I agree, Doug. They need to headhunt a game developer. Thank you, Keith. Goof says, not easy to go or do, and not easy to explain in a good way. It'd be a good suggestion. And Keith says, okay, I'll do it. Marcel says, I might have missed it, but did they give any insight on pricing this year? Marcel coming right into the middle of our discussion about his new daddy, Anubis, and he wants to talk about pricing. Marcel, you didn't miss it. We don't have any insight on pricing yet, but I did have a chat with James, and it's going to happen hopefully a little faster than what we thought. I was hoping James would at least get the Columbus Regional up on Top Deck today. I haven't had a chance to check it yet, but we shall see. Andy says, I think this is a good illustration of game designer versus game developer. They're great at the design half, but there's a lot of lessons needed to develop them out. Yes. John says Joe G was part of the something team, and Keith Bursek was in the original OP team near the end. Tyler James Bertrand said, hey, Doug, I did notice a difference. It was told by Joe that the same paper was used. This could be a situation where there's difference within the paper itself. John says, Ernal, R-O-P, please tell me that's a typo. Yeah, I'm pretty sure John meant to type original. I'm not sure what the part Joe was part of, Power something team, and Keith was in the original OP team near the end. John says, yes, autocorrect and sausage fingers are a bad combo. But, yeah, how much did they have to do with creating a game, designing a game, and developing the game? Hey, Howard, how are you? To me, this is not easily solved, but it's not hard either. Hire someone. Someone who has no social media presence. Somebody who doesn't get on social media and plead their case. Somebody who just knows how to design and develop a game. I don't think that would hurt them at all. It would take away from a lot of this mess. So we shall see. Tyler talking about the paper. I'm not sure what that's about unless it's going back to the rainbows. Then the paper itself, I don't know. Howard says, I urge Joe and James to get the regionals on Top Deck. I have heard nothing definitive from them yet. Howard, I had text messages all day with James. I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus at least shows up on Top Deck before the night's out. I am pushing really hard for that. I don't know if you saw the Discord, but it was blowing up today where people were talking about it. And I did screenshot those and send them to James and said I want to put an end to these kind of posts, whether it's on Facebook or Discord. So we need to just get some things up there and keep adding to them. We don't have to give them everything right now. We got a date, we got a time, we got a location. Now let's get it on Top Deck and start there. We can add pricing as we go along. And Tyler says, be careful everyone, it would be a great way to unload a bootleg cart to verify the source. Goof says LRG needs more effective communication and explaining game rules and sharing news developments and getting LGS involved in basically everything. Goof, I've been saying that for a long time. And Marcel says, I don't want to be negative, but it feels like season 0 all over again. I want to see some progress, not regression. Marcel, that's the biggest thing is, I don't want to sound negative either, but there are some things that need to change, and we have to fix them. LRG has to fix them. We have to fix what we can, and by we, I'm talking about the host of the events or whatever, I want to put out a whole schedule for the regional weekend. And are we going to do things on Friday? Yes, we are. What are they? We're going to give away some Invincible product on Friday with an IOU that you'll get it in August. What are we going to do on Saturday? Saturday, we're going to have a regional. What are the pricing for the regional? What are we going to do on Sunday? We're going to have the OP Cup. What is the OP Cup going to give away? And I know it kind of looks like right now the season hasn't started, and it looks like we're going through a lot of the same things that we did last year, but there has been some improvement. I expect to have all of the NAOL promo cards in my hands fairly soon, and they're coming to me so that I can then give them to Howard when he shows up for the regional and the OP Cup in Columbus, and then he will distribute them from there. Maybe he'll just have me give them out to the guys to take back for their events. So the NAOL is a little bit ahead, and that is thanks to Felipe. Felipe had all the cards printed up for the NAOL events at the same time, but they shipped out the Pennsylvania promos early to make sure that we were able to hand them out. I would have shipped all of them at that time, but it didn't happen, and we can still fix it. Chris Rice, if you're still here, I'm hoping to bring them with me, but I kind of think they may end up shipping those directly to you now. We're getting down to crunch time, but if I can get them, I will bring them. Let's see. There we go. Goof says, but they do a fantastic job with the cards, so I hope they can grow in that department. But I want their amazing game to be in everybody's hands. We all want that for sure, Goof. It's just slowly, such a slow process. Smaller price pool and one full-time worker would do wonders. James, I'm with you. 100%. Looks like the Goof is with you too. 100%. Tyler says we only have one distributor. No, we got at least 3 distributors, Tyler. GTS, ACD, and I believe Southern Hobby. And then the Canadian distributor, right? Yeah, James Keith 100% agrees with you. Howard says, I cannot include the regionals in our NOL weekend conventions until they are there. Yep. I'm working on it. John says, good night, all. Dinner awaits. I'll watch the end later. Remember to like the stream. Thanks, John. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. We'll see you soon. Goof says, Doug, I really appreciate you bringing some of these issues up with LRG. I feel like they are in a bubble, and it feels like they aren't even aware of any of these issues. You could be right. You definitely could be right about that. Tyler says, last I checked, there were no plans for a pre-release. Tyler, that was right when I left. Yeah, as far as I know, there's not going to be a pre-release either. And Howard says, we know the pricing for all NAOL events. We do know the pricing, and we're going to have them well in advance. Hopefully starting with the Houston event. Lawrence says, it's been great to have all the NOL info for the whole year already. Thanks, Howard and tournament organizers. Chris says, I am good with however they come. Absolutely. Yeah, whatever it takes to get them there. And Howard says, thanks, Lawrence. The TOs and our volunteers have been working hard. Everything is good at the NAOL level. It is the LRG regional level that we need to work on. And not just the regional level. I went to the GTS website to look at the pre-order list, and then everything has an August due date, including a marketing kit. And I sent a text to Joe and Ron and said, I don't want a marketing kit in August. I want it last week. I have window space to put up posters. We need more than a marketing kit that comes out the same day that the product does. Will we get there? I don't know. I sure hope so. It's almost like if you want a poster for your store right now, call Fast Signs and have one made. Because I don't know if we're going to get that marketing kit in time. And Pokemon, whoops, let me fix that real quick, guys. Pokemon puts out a marketing kit every 3 months. I don't know what it would take other than me printing my own signs, kind of like I did with the window clings back here in the room. So we shall see. We'll do what it takes, right? And hope for the best. I don't know how else to say it. And Goof says, yeah, NOL is doing amazing. All the events are up. Pricing is up. Top Deck is populated. Great job, guys. Chris says the marketing is pretty bad. I had a few people tell me the stores in their area refused to order. I wonder why they would refuse to order. I could understand they may be still thinking about it, but why refuse? The Goose says, maybe I'll make another OP short tonight if LRG isn't getting the word out. I guess we have to. And Tyler just says no comment. Goof, I don't think we can create too much content. So I love your content. I appreciate you being here on my streams. Make all the content you want and we will watch it. There's a lot we can do, but LRG's really got to step it up. They have to market this game. We can't. We're a small community. There's not a whole lot we can do. Maybe they think they're a small company and there's not a lot they can do. But we will work that part out. Let me check my list here and see what I had for marketing, because I know I had some stuff on here. Can I go back to something here? I saw this, I heard about this after the Pennsylvania event. And it really, really upset me. And I don't want to call people out by name. But, guys, when you're playing in a tournament and you make your play, please don't ask your opponent to allow you to take a play back. And if they ask you to take a play back, please don't let them. You're putting yourself and your opponent in an awkward position when you ask your opponent to take a move back. I hate to be like a hardline judge on this, but when you're playing in a regional, it's even bigger because there's serious money on the line. When you're playing in the NAOL, I know we're not playing for a whole lot of money. It's more of an ego thing. But I know it happened twice in Pennsylvania, and I didn't know it at the time. I found out both of them much later. But I don't like it, and I don't like that. I think both times the opponent let the person take a move back. One time it cost an opponent the game. The other time, the opponent won, and even though they allowed the take back. Tournaments are not casual play. If you're going to play in a tournament, accept that you misplayed. Integrity is what it's all about. And if you misplay, you misplay. Don't misplay in a tournament. If you're sitting at home and you're playing across the table, and oh, wow. We don't even usually take back casual games because we're trying to prepare for the organized play events. But that's huge. Andy says, got to lock down and be ready to play things as they stand. Tournament play is super different from casual. Yeah. Chris, thanks for agreeing with me. I just think that, man, when you make a mistake, it sucks, but you got to live with it. Lauren says, I like the chess piece rule as well. When your hand comes off the card, that's your play. You can't pick it up and move it somewhere else. You can't pick it up, put it back in your hand. It's just, in a tournament play, I think that's a minimum standard. And Keith says, in my opinion, we need the chess piece rule. Take your hand off the card. That's that. I believe we have that rule. I believe that's in the rule book. It's just that one of your opponents asking you, can I take that back? Because I never would have done it if I'd have realized this. No. Sorry. Hey, Brian, how are you? I'm not going to let you. I'm not going to ask either. I'm trying to read this up. Josh says, I would like to request that all my opponents allow me to take back my losses. Josh, I miss you, man. I try not to even take back moves in casual matches either. Live with my mistakes. That's the best way to learn. Hey, Brian, how you doing? Howard says, should be mentioned by the tournament administrator in advance of each tournament. Howard, that's a great point. They should. Yep, good idea. I like it. Andrew says, sportsmanship counts for a lot, though. It's a game after all. Part of why this game is so awesome is because in the community, no opponent must allow anyone to take anything back, though. Well, Andrew, I would strongly disagree that it's not sportsmanship to ask to take back a play. If you make a mistake, you're going to have to live with it. It's just the way it is. I don't think it's good sportsmanship if my opponent asks me to allow them to take a move back for me to say, go ahead. I don't think that's sportsmanship at all. I know in all the competitive chess that I play, take your hand off the piece. That's the move. That's just the rule. You got to have a standard. And that's mine. Tyler says it's a game of mistakes. What separates great players from average ones is the number of mistakes. I'll let my opponent adjust the odds packed. Place card, not if it makes me. Place card, not if it made me uncomfortable. Chris says, I made plenty of mistakes in the few games following the gift in Ohio. It was 100% worth it, but it happens. I'm happy for you, Chris, getting that artwork. Andrew says, I agree, Ty. I let people adjust misplacements too. Again, nobody is obligated to. Ty says, I guess it's never made me feel uncomfortable or like I'd feel pressured to based on a personal relationship. Sawyer says, I even informed an opponent that he could have used his place card to block a post-concession attack instead of letting the character die. Do you want to do that instead? This was during the Nats, and I still won that one. And Sawyer, in that example, I don't know that I would let my opponent KO a character when they clearly had a card placed on them that would keep them alive. But I don't like the thought of putting somebody in that position to ask them if I could take a move back. And Andrew says, that's fair, and everyone is welcome to their opinion. I'd rather let an opponent take back a minor display like placing a teamwork to the wrong guy than turn a new player off. Karma is real. Yeah, I'm not necessarily talking about something as simple as misplacing a teamwork card. You'll accidentally let a character dive with a defense that you could have made, and then say, oh, I cleared the cards off the character, I put it away, and said, oh, I could have defended that, do you mind if I take it back? And Howard says, if I'm playing a new player, rightly or wrongly, I allow take back. Sometimes I'll suggest a better play. Tyler said, that said, I'm all for normalizing shuffle issues. Sawyer says, they were already distraught from me KOing their other characters. Yeah, I know. I've felt that before. And Andy says, I think once you're in a tournament, you can't really be thinking about new player experience. There's nothing worse as an experienced player to sit down at a tournament and play against somebody that you know is new and you want to win. You don't want to embarrass them. But you gotta, those are the things that you can work through. You can teach them while you're playing them. But if it's two experienced players, taking back moves, I don't think it's fair to ask your opponent that, especially since we are a small community and we all know each other pretty well. Yes, big difference between teaching a new player and more competitive tournament matches, but I'm not a competitive player. Come on, Josh, quit it. Doug says, I think it's 100% sportsmanship to allow someone to take back a move when it's something they would obviously do. I don't want to win with a gotcha from something they clearly wouldn't do. And Sawyer says, right, but we are talking about national level. That is true. I'm sure there's a difference of opinions in everyone on it. And that's the way I feel about it. Lauren says, I think there's sportsmanship in upholding each other's play decisions in a tournament setting. Raven says, I went to your regionals last year knowing I was going to get my butt kicked because that's the level of the event. Josh says, I like to try to convince my opponents to make bad moves. Keith says, well said, Doug. That's a problem with big money prizes. Harsh. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. And like Howard said, I think the tournament organizer needs to announce it before every event. And then if you sit down and play a game and you want to let a guy take something back, that's on you. But I would hope you don't get too upset if they say no. Howard says, there are certain very experienced players who do this all the time. I am very firm with those individuals. I just know that I saw some guys asked to take moves back, and it really conflicted them. Doug Taylor says, Keith, which Doug are you agreeing with? That's a good question. When you're conflicted over letting somebody that you've played this game with for many years take a move back or not, it can be tough. And it looks like Keith is agreeing with Doug Taylor about it is 100% sportsmanship to allow someone to take a move back. Tyler says, you definitely shouldn't feel any pressure to take something back or to let your opponent. And, hey, Game Master, Late to the party again. You sure are. And you missed all the good stuff. All right, so that's another thing off of my list. We did talk a little bit about the rainbows on Discord. So I'm going to delete that one. Letting players take moves back, take that one. We already discussed Anubis. We already discussed LRG's need for a game designer or developer that would be able to help out tremendously, I believe. Goof says, I don't like rolling back time. It gets really messy and people don't always remember right. If I make a KO attack and they're missing a defense, I'd verify to ensure that's what they want. And Game Master says, I'll catch the replay. Yeah, there's some good stuff back there. You might want to do that, Game Master. And Goof says, but if I haven't done anything yet, I'll usually allow a take back. Yeah, rolling back time is huge. It's very hard to do. So, all right, let's talk a little bit, man, an hour and 20 minutes, about the new Kickstarter. It seems to have stalled a little bit. Last time I checked, we were at $73,000 or $74,000. We're going to have a hard time getting to 100. It looks like. Right before I started the stream, I got a message from Felipe where the Heroes in Games retailer tier was finalized. They'll be putting that up, and as soon as they do, then I'll sign up for that. It's going to be a pretty big jump. I don't know if Flying Monkey has got theirs finalized yet. I don't know if he turned one in or not. But I think it's great how Felipe has been active with this Kickstarter, answering questions all over the place, Discord, Facebook, in the Kickstarter itself. But I'm also a little disappointed that if you spend not a whole lot of money, maybe a couple $100 to get everything that you need, there's not an incentive to make you spend an extra 100 or maybe even 200. I kind of wish they'd put a little more unique things in there other than original art for characters that we don't even know if we're going to like yet in the game. I don't care too much about the alternate art cards. It's not going to make me spend more money to get those into the game. I wish maybe they'd have put an original art tier out there. If you spend $4,000, you get to choose this one of 3 alternate art cards that we're going to throw in and make only 3 of that tier available. Something along those lines. And 4,000 is like way too high, I understand, but you know what I mean. Even if they had $1,000, pledge $1,000, you can get some original art. It started off so strong and it's so stalled right now. I don't know how many other retailers are waiting for their personalized tier. As far as I know, it's just Stefan and myself. Larry already bought in. All right, thanks, Goof. Felipe says he has a bunch of retailer tiers that may get added. I don't like that may part, but let's see. Raven says, I'm eager to see where the retailer tiers take it. And he says, I'm expecting another bump at the end of the Kickstarter. But yeah, I only think the momentum will reach so far. Maybe 100 to 120 total. You think it'll go that high? I don't know. Keith says, Felipe said he's fully expecting a nice bump once the retailers pledge. Andrew says, Felipe has been so active and done such an amazing job. Absolutely. I just pray we don't get TFAC within weeks of Invincible. Double the fun if they're separated and nothing gets diluted. Yeah. They can't be too far apart though, right? The way the schedule looks. Goof says, but other than that, I'm fatigued looking at all the unlock levels. I'm ready to stop looking at it until I get my verification email. Sawyer said, I would love if there was unique product that only the retailers would get, incentive for retailers to buy, and incentive for us to go to the retailers for that unique product. I like that idea. Howard says, LRG can learn a lot from Felipe's engagement skills. You ain't kidding, Howard. Chris says, I wish they had more variety of bundles. Yes. Andrew says, well said, Howard. Josh says, Felipe's set is the new thing I'm most excited for right now. I'm more excited for the Few and Cursed than I am Invincible. I don't know about you guys. James says, a tier with a mini comic telling how this world overlapped into the World Legends would be cool. Short He-Man book style. The Goof says, because LRG hasn't advertised a Kickstarter outside of that one article. Really? Everyone in the OP know has ordered, but we're not going to get new orders if no one knows about it. Interesting. Keith says, my only real complaint is how difficult, expensive it is to obtain duplicate sets of events. I don't want to spend $40 to $60 on power stations that I don't need at all, except for a handful of events. That's a great point. And that seems to be how Skybound will be also. Howard is asking, did anyone hear anything further on the Quiver stuff that Joe announced in February? And Josh says, Redheads unite. Yes, sir. I'm always susceptible to supporting a redhead. John says, they did send notice to backers of the original Kickstarter. Hey, Adam, how are you? Felipe shifted the stretch goal dollars down based on the stall out. Oh, did he now? Oh, I hate to hear that happened. List 1 completes at like 88,000 now instead of 100,000. James says the Few and the Cursed comes out August to September and Skybound middle of August. I can't wait to see these sets battle and which one ends up being more preferred. I know the Kickstarter says August, but Felipe's going to do his best to get it out sooner than that. We shall see if that happens. And Howard, as far as the Quiver goes, didn't they have some at a show recently? Where were they at? PAX? Or maybe those were just samples that they had there and people were taking pictures with the samples? I don't know. Those Quivers are not going to be cheap. I'm kind of concerned that LRG is getting wrapped up in the peripheral things instead of focusing on the game itself. I think they're wasting a lot of time creating things like these Quivers, like their sweatshirts. It just, to me, they need to focus on the game to create the demand for these side things. How many Quivers can you sell? And how many would make you happy? Do you think you can sell more than 20 Quivers at $75 a piece? Does that make it worth all the time that you've put into it? Or do you think you can sell 100 of them? And then at $75 a piece, it is well worth your time. I'm just concerned about that. Ronald had one at Nats, one Quiver. Yes, they did, and they were samples. But it looked like they were actually selling them. Was it at PAX or wherever they were at a couple weeks ago? They've had Quivers, but I don't think those were released. Yeah, they might have just had samples. Chris says, I know they had samples in Ohio, and that might be what people were doing, taking pictures with samples. Goose says, that's a good thing, Raven, but I hope they did more outreach to people who may not have already bought OP in the past, need new players for the Few and Cursed, or at least Skybound. Andy says, I feel like they were production samples. That very well could be. I think Ronald said about 100 on the quiver. Ugh. Sheesh. Well, when I said 75, I was repeating what I read somewhere. I don't know that it was actual. $100 for a quiver. Quick show of hands. How many of you will pay $100 for a quiver? Are they that nice? Do you like them that much? James says, any word on if the new sleeves are made by the same company as the ERB? Yes, James Titan is doing the new the sleeves for the set also. Yep, Goof says it is. Howard says the quiver cases are awesome. They serve as a great advertising for the game. Howard says we don't know the price. Nothing is up on the store. Hey, Vlad. How are you, buddy? Thanks for joining us. Wow. James says, I heard 100 as well. Too steep for me. Game Master says, is that the price? Is it more? I heard $74.99 from somebody, but I don't honestly remember where. John says, there's another company out there selling invincible card cases and binders. They could lead to confusion. That's interesting. James says the limited bloody ones would probably be more. Chris says, I might buy a Negan. Andy says, I would think about 100 for a quiver, but would have to be heavily considered. Game Master said he might. Howard says, they are beautiful. I would pay big money for one. Okay. Andy says, they are definitely incredibly looking. And the QOL on quivers looks amazing. Josh says, I keep my cards all loose in my pockets. Doug Taylor says, I'd buy at least one. Chris says, I would definitely come in, or it would definitely come in handy for my second carry on with United. The Goof says, I load all my cards in a backpack, and it's unweirdly, I'd consider a quiver under the right circumstances. Doug says, their website has them for about $75. That's what I'd heard somewhere. Ben says, I'd probably get one. And Vlad, yes, he would. Dolgard, they are for the universe. Chris says, keep in mind it doesn't come with the special cases. That $85 is unbranded though, right? I was pretty sure the Walking Dead one that I saw was $74.99. But I don't believe that's a place that they should be spending a lot of time or money right now. That's just me. There's so many other things that we could be working on, like an announcement of the price support for regionals. Chris says, maybe the cases were 100 and the quiver is 75. Okay. But I'm glad some of you are very excited about the quivers, because they're going to need to sell a few of them. We talked about this a little bit. The pre-sales have started going up. The MSRP on the new product is pretty much the same as ERB was. Yeah, I don't think anyone paid MSRP for any of the ERB product. I know we were at 180 for a very long time on the ERB. That's because we thought it was just a Kickstarter only. We did have to come down off of that price a little bit when we realized that it was going to be at the distributorship level. But I was telling everybody all along, to expect to get MSRP out of Invincible. Or you're looking at 150 to 160. I don't think it's gonna go above 160. So many of you guys started bugging me about when we were going to put our pre-orders up that I had to sit down Saturday afternoon and do them. Oh, man. If you guys choose to support us, we greatly appreciate it. But I do hope that you support your local stores if they'll order it for you. And they may special order it for less than the $150 that we're selling it at. We do have a $5 discount that is automatically applied at checkout if you order it before May 31st. Yeah, I said that's a sign, time to go home, maybe. You may be able to get your local store to put in an order for you, and you may be able to get it for less than $150. It's worth a shot, and that's one way to make the game grow, right? If they have you come in and say, hey, will you order me 2 boxes? They may order 3 and just see how it goes. So please, 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 please go to your local store and ask them to carry it. And Joey, how are you, buddy? And he says $150 for a box with 36 packs at 17 cards a pack is great pricing. I agree 100%. Let's see. And he says, I was really surprised by how much people were freaking out about the MSRP. Feels a little like it was a mistake to expose that to the community. Yeah. Goof says it feels like it was a mistake to not have a news release and have the answers ready to go. Yeah, Goof, we're back on that again, ain't we? Howard says, I will be very surprised if the cash money for the regionals will be the same as last season. I just don't see the business case. Yeah, Howard, I've been kind of wondering about that. I don't see how they can do it either. But I don't know. Howard says, I bet most people would still attend, say, $4,000 to the winner. $4,000 is definitely worth traveling for. And Magic the Gathering, one commander deck is over $70, says Joey. Yeah. And Magic can get pretty expensive. Chris says, I ordered 3 boxes at my local store, but may try and order some through Heroes and Games. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that, but I don't want you to feel like you have to. It would probably be dollars better spent at your local store. Just keep them bringing that product in. Ben says, talking to 2 local stores on ordering here, but wanted to support you too, Doug. Thanks, Ben. I really do appreciate you guys. I saw those orders coming through, and it's like, you guys are just so anxious to spend your money. We'll fill them. We'll get them to you first before anyone else, hopefully. Lawrence says, we asked our local store if they could order 2 cases. Hopefully they are willing. We play there all the time and would like to support them. But if they don't, we'll be getting our orders done. Thank you, Lawrence. I appreciate it. The community has definitely shown us a lot of support, and we love and appreciate all you guys. Game Master said, I heard that it was made. I heard that is what made Versus go under, too much in price support. Versus just wasn't a very good game from what I heard. I don't know. I never tried to play it. After Overpower, they came out with that stupid game. It wasn't Versus, and then they replaced it with Versus. But I'd already lost interest in any games after that. Goof says, yeah, I have 5 or 7.5K in prizes, and the same people would show. Spend an extra 75K saved per year on marketing and LGS outreach. Vlad says, true, not sustainable. Joey says, a lot of Dragon Ball Fusion is around 150 depending on release, and that's on the cheap end. And you only get 24 packs at 11 cards a pack. Yeah, Dragon Ball, like Fusion World, is just stupid. 24 packs going for $200 right now. Doug says Versus was an okay game. I did collect the Versus Green Lantern set at one point. I tried to put a complete Green Lantern foil set together. I don't think I ever did. I know I didn't complete it. Joey says none of my locals will carry it, so I order from you and Larry mostly. Thank you, Joey. And he says the new Versus was all right. Old Versus seemed really unweirdly when I looked at it. James says, talking about Magic products, the power stations would be cool if turned into bundles. One suit of power cards with a mission and event set and 3 packs would be better than buying starters. And yes, a power station. I agree. Vlad says, you did what with Green Lantern? Yeah, I tried to put a foil set of the Versus Green Lantern together. Sorry, Vlad, I didn't want you to try and buy them off of me. I still got them. Goose says, carrying it is different than custom ordering it. Right. My LGS won't carry overpower anymore. They bought 3 boxes of ERB, but won't get more. They'll custom order for me, though. That's good, Goof. I mean, at least they'll do that. Just go and ask them. I'm curious to see how the Canadian distribution is going to be this time around. Doug says, Old Versus was solid. New one was even better. Not as good as Overpower, but still good games. Nice. I know I talked to somebody at Upper Deck a year or 2 after they had killed the original Versus. And was it Upper Deck? Flair. I think Flair had it then, right? I can't remember now. I think it was Upper Deck. But anyways, they said that they had more requests to bring back Versus than they did Overpower. So they weren't considering Overpower. They were going to try and bring back Versus, which really bummed me out at the time. But now we got our game back eventually, right? And Chris says, I've had multiple stores say they might carry Skybound, but without marketing, I doubt they will. All right. Goof is probably going to have a comment on this one, too. I think one of their biggest marketing mistakes is calling it Skybound. I just think it would sell so much better if it was just called Overpower Invincible or Invincible Overpower. And have the Walking Dead characters still be in there. Most people don't know what Skybound is. If you watch Invincible on TV, I don't think you'd even know that it's a Skybound product, right? Just another missed opportunity, in my opinion. Maybe they didn't have a choice either, though. Maybe Skybound said you're going to have to use the name Skybound. But I would definitely have called it Invincible. I think a lot of comic shops will probably order a little bit of it just because it's Invincible. If they know it's Invincible. Comic shop would have to, right? The comic shop would know what Skybound is, right? You would think. It's so frustrating. Lawrence says, I agree, Doug. When I asked at RLGS yesterday, they had no idea what Skybound was. Lawrence, I hate to hear that. Goose says no comment. I like to talk too much, but I just agreed this time around. Okay. And he says, I think it's probably their standard practice. They called ERB. Yeah, but ERB's different because what are you going to call it? I mean, it wasn't based around Tarzan. You just call it World Legends. A name has to tell the customer something. Joey says, yeah, that marketing has been the new overpowered kryptonite. Yeah. A name means something, okay? It has to grab your customer's attention. It has to give them at least some idea about what it is. It's so hard. James says, but all the art's invincible almost on the packaging. Yeah, there's a lot of invincible on the packaging, but it's not a name. Andy says, but they have definitely been leading with the Invincible and Walking Dead branding in their signage. Ricky says, Invincible Overpower featuring the Walking Dead. I like that too. Gotta run. All the best, everyone, says Howard. Howard, thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you soon. I just really, really wish they'd have been able to call it Invincible. For whatever reason, they didn't. Hopefully it still works out. James asks, I wonder if they're going to run some ads on the Battle Beast or some comic in Battle Beast or some comics. Yeah, and what about on the streaming? Are they running any ads on the streaming services that are carrying the Invincible show? Andy says, I did stop by their Origins booth because of the Invincible art in their ad. That's good. But text-based searches would still be Skybound. Yeah. Instead of Invincible. When you do a search for Invincible, I wonder if Skybound Overpower will show up. Josh says, I've taken to calling it the Invincible set since every time I said Skybound, people would ask me what Skybound meant. Interesting. Ricky says, or even just add the tagline in the current name, Skybound Overpower, Invincible and The Walking Dead. Seems kind of common sense, right? Joey says, maybe because of the Invincible CCG, they had to go with Skybound. Yeah, I don't know if it was their choice or if they were told they had to call it Skybound. Don't really know. Targeted YouTube ads could be great. I don't know, Joey, if they'll do anything like that or not. Andy says, Invincible Overpower searching seems okay from my quick test. Okay, good. Maybe they'll be okay with it. Just definitely not what I would have named it, but like I said, maybe they didn't have a choice. Chris says, if I didn't collect every card from Overpower, I wouldn't want Invincible. I want it for The Walking Dead. Yeah. I like that they're both in there because The Walking Dead brings you in and Invincible brings in Jessica. So there's definitely two different markets there. All right, guys, I have now gone for 1 hour and 48 minutes, and I'm getting a little tired. I'm losing my voice a little bit. I want to, Andrew says, I wasn't sure about a co-set at first, but I'm hearing a lot of people just want Walking Dead, and a lot of people just want Invincible. Both will buy. Yep, agree. I think having both Walking Dead and Invincible in the same set is great to get overlap, says the Goof. Totally agree. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up right there. We covered most of the things on the list, even without Stefan. Hopefully, we'll get Stefan on here maybe next week, and we can pick up where this went off. Andrew, you're so welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you being there. What, an hour and 50 minutes in. You guys are all awesome. Look forward to seeing everybody in Houston. Last time I looked, we had 14 registered. Come on, guys, get on there and register if you're coming. Chris, I will see you there. Josh, thanks for tuning in. Doug Taylor, I've heard people want Walking Dead as well. Yep, thanks for tuning in. Goof, it was great. Thanks so much. Game Master, you're so welcome. Yes, please don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you hadn't. All right, Vlad, when you come up on the 24th, I'll try and dig those cards out for you. Adam, thanks for watching, buddy. All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you soon.